Welcome to workshop.
In the dead of night, the flames spark to life. At a place called St. Edward.
It's a shock. Just so shock.
The corner church stood on the corner of Orono and Plymouth for 35 years.
Everybody's okay. Nobody was hurt.
100 families called St. Edward theirs.
I mean, it got really big before anybody happened to look out their window and say, "Oh, hey."
We're all standing here trying to figure out what's the message.
Parishioners came quickly.
Man.
But Father Mom showed up first.
Father Mom.
That's her on the left. You see, Judy Hoover leads this congregation. She's pastor.
I don't decide anything except the Lord's Prayer right now. No.
Firefighters spent all morning fighting fire and the lack of water. 2 hydrants in the rain weren't enough. So crews trucked in more.
A lot of work has gone into this place.
But folks here weren't so worried about the building.
But a congregation is much more than the building is.
More so, they worried about their pastor. Today, Judy lost her church. 1 week ago, she lost her husband.
After losing Bob here a week ago, the priest's husband died of a heart attack. So it's tough.
Well, we will survive.
Still, Judy keeps her faith.
Just keep thinking, the church is the people, not the building.
And as they contend, they keep each other close.
You know, I was always taught, and I believe that God doesn't give us more than we can handle, but losing a spouse in a church building the same, but we're all here for you, Judy. We're all here for you. We love you.
And we just have a fantastic spirit amongst us. This will make us stronger.
Welcome to the workshop.
You know, before all presentations at the workshop, everybody in the big room gets made up. Right, Bob? Right, Daryl? Anticipating what the person's doing next. Action, reaction. Last shot, next shot. Repetitive action. Easy to cut to all the time. The important thing about axis, notice that the camera stays along that side. So the line that you can't cross is with my nose. Can't cross this line. Notice how my nose is screen left and Julie, the wonderful Julie, is screen right. So our line between us is right here. Can't cross this line for screen direction purposes. If we did it, it'd look like we're talking to somebody else and not to each other, because Julie's nose is screen left now. So it makes it very confusing to the viewer at home. Dave is screen left.
Screen right.
Screen left.
Screen left.
Screen right.
Screen right.
Screen left.
No, screen right.
No, screen left. Using super tight shots as our transition. Take the viewer so tight they can taste the makeup. With our Bulldog Reporter, we're going to talk about wide, medium, and tight. Super tight. An interview situation is just like any other. Camera, Bulldog Reporter, person you're talking with. You want to watch that axis, even with the wide, medium, tight. You don't want that camera to go over to this other side. You've got me on one side of the screen, you've got Bulldog Reporter on the other side of the screen. So let's say you want to go get a different angle, and all of a sudden you pick up, no, don't go over there. Don't even think about going there. Just out of habit. No, don't go over there. Don't go over there. Go back. Just stay. No, don't go over there. Just stay on that side. It's so much easier to just stay to one side. Even when getting another angle, it's easier to just remember, this is the line between their two noses. Stay to that side. So I'm screen right, looking at the Bulldog reporter.
My nose is facing screen left.
I'm still screen left. My nose, center of the screen, looking at the reporter.
My nose is facing screen left.
And it's wet. No, it's dry. If you lose your continuity, if you mess up your wide, medium, tight, it's one word. Tight shot. Tight shot. Super tight shot. Tight shot matched action. Bob and Daryl. Tight shot. Tight shot of Bob. Tight shot of Daryl. Tight shot of Dave. Wide shot matched action of Dave, Bob, and Daryl, and Bulldog. Over the shoulder, you don't want to upset Bob and Daryl. Don't cross your axis. Don't mess with your screen direction. And that's it. Screen direction. Wide, medium, tight, action, reaction, cutaway. Screen direction. Back to you, Dave.
Wide, medium, tight, toothbrush, tight. Wide, medium, tight, super tight. Wide, medium, tight, super tight. Super tight. Welcome to the workshop. Wide, medium, tight, super tight. Welcome to the workshop.
Dotson, it's pretty funny stuff. Well, hi, I'm Justin Foss, and I'm sitting wait, there I am. We're going to take a few minutes here to talk a little bit more about screen direction and continuity. First thing is, let's talk about the basic sequence of just somebody sitting here watching TV.
This man is about to die.
Okay, so you see, this guy's getting chased. You see how he's always going left to right, left to right. Even right now, that camera is to my left side, and see, left to right, left to right. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. That's what happens to some people after Daryl Barton's critiques. All right, let's talk about positive action. Into frame, into frame. Here we go again. into frame and out of frame. And again, here I go, into frame. And if you notice, well, you can't because you don't see the camera, but I do. It's always on my left. I'm always going left to right. Here I go, out of frame again. Oh, by the way, this is Clear Lake, Iowa. It's March. It's a balmy 30 degrees. Perfect weather. Even on a long shot, the camera needs to be to my left, the same side it's always been, even if you're zooming. That way, it always looks the same. Now here's a lesson Dave really wanted to stress. It's called backpedaling. It's when you, the camera, are following me, the subject. When you're walking backwards, you keep your feet at the same pace that mine are. Left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. We do it that way so that all the images stay together and it stays a lot steadier. Okay, so remember that 30 degrees I was talking about earlier? It's time to go back. So what do you do if you want to go back and you still got to keep continuity? First, you need a transition. That has to be a tight shot. Then from then, you still got to go from one side of the camera to the other. Continuity. Even though I've changed directions, you still want me going from one side of the lens to the other. And because I'm going the other way, it's the other side of the lens to the other. So quick recap, the human eye can and does follow action, which means you need to have rock solid continuity for everything to make sense. So that means as easy as it may be, you can't just throw it away. So that concludes our lesson on continuity. As you see, the camera is still on my left side. But wait, a couple more quick lessons. First, we've been talking positive action all day. Well, two things. First, journalists don't work well in the cold. It's cold out here. So we're going to do negative action. That's going away from the camera. Oh, by the way, it makes an excellent closing shot going away. I'm going to go back in the house now and get in my magic transporter. And I'll see you guys back in the forum.
Why me and tight, super tight? Welcome to the workshop.
130 miles separate the Twin Cities and Georgia Smith's cabin.
You could go into that brush there.
But for her son, it could just as well be a million.
It's your worst nightmare.
Almost 2 weeks ago, Brett's mother left Champlin for her cabin near Minong, Wisconsin, north of Spooner. The plan was for the family to meet there for the 4th of July.
When my brother arrived first and found out that she hadn't got up there, our hearts all dropped, and they've been bottomed out ever since.
So Brett works through it by working.
I'm going to throw some flyer in this guy's mailbox, so hopefully when he's driving around, he'll keep an eye out.
Trying to get his mother's picture in front of as many people as possible.
I think if we can get the local eyes involved here, we have a much better chance if she is up in this area.
If she's in this area. See, that's the problem. They don't have a single clue as to where Georgia might be. Which is why Brett is going door to door.
Hi there.
Recruiting help.
So we're thinking it's possible that she might have got into the interior here somewhere.
Although explaining the problem means facing reality. And for Brett, that's the hardest part.
It's real hard. It's real hard. You lose a piece of your soul every one of these you put up.
But he'll keep putting them up, keep handing them out until he knows just what happened to the woman he calls his best friend.
I keep waiting for her car to pull into the driveway and for her to get out and smile and say, well, this is where I was, but it never shows up.
Rod Ressman, Channel 5 Eyewitness News, near Spooner, Wisconsin.
Welcome to the workshop.
Hi there. Yeah, my mother is that lady from Minot who's been missing. It's been on the TV the last week or so. My brother lives over here on Island Lake, and she was on her way from Minneapolis to Minot Wednesday before the 4th of July, and she never made it to Minot. And we're trying to search through the area between Spooner and Danbury and Siren and Minot to see if somewhere in between there she may have got off on that detour on E that was down there prior to, that said 77 was detoured.
Okay.
So we're thinking it's possible that she might have got into the interior here somewhere and got lost and maybe went off the road in the ditch or possibly had a heart attack or something like that. So we're,
Right. Would you like me to put this up for
if you would do that, that would be absolutely wonderful.
Sure, we'll do that.
And if you can just ask your neighbors and friends to keep an eye out. She was driving a blue Mercedes, and she was 76, and we want her back.
I can understand that.
Thank you. Thank you. It's hard. It's real hard. It's real, real, real hard. You lose a piece of your soul every one of these you put up.
Super tight. Wind me in tight.
And he walks with me, and he talks with me.
A Tuesday afternoon in April, and a man they call Snoopy is putting in some hours. Snoopy Botten has made it his job to entertain the masses, folks shuffling from office to office along Nicollet Mall. He doesn't take requests.
He was doing a classic there.
But he does take donations.
Music is something that's universal. Everybody can appreciate music.
And no one appreciates music more than Snoopy. But born with cerebral palsy, he can never play an instrument. Or can he? Snoopy's condition makes it hard for people to understand him when he talks. So this device, called a Liberator, speaks for him.
Here's my CD on the way.
Today he's on the phone talking to this man, Barry Romick, one of the people who invented this device.
I got an order just last night by email.
The two are close friends because they learn from each other.
When I talk about him to audiences, I refer to him as the world authority on singing with synthetic speech.
Wherever you go.
That's right, they developed this device with a speaking voice. Snoopy taught it to sing. The developers had no idea it could even do that.
200. Wherever you go.
Now, Snoopy is an ambassador for this technology, doing demonstrations, even singing the national anthem at a Twins game a couple years ago.
And the home of the brave.
And he does more than just program songs into his communication device. He writes them, too.
And it seems that as we go here day by day, it's becoming more exciting.
On this day, Snoopy and Mike Boss are nearing the end of their first CD. Religious songs written by Snoopy.
Let's do a level check, too.
Enhanced by Boss.
I am eternally changed.
The message behind the music and the heart behind the music really comes out, even though it's a computerized voice.
He's taken what life has given him and made music with it. You might think it would be a great source of pride for Snoopy, which it is, but it's also a great source of frustration.
If you make any money, you lose everything.
So like if the Press-Ceramic Company or anyone paid me for my work, I would not be able to have an aid or my chair fixed, or anything that is paid for right now.
For all he's done helping to advance this piece of equipment that helps thousands of people programming and writing music, Snoopy cannot make a profit off of any of it.
The bottom line problem is that they lose health care benefits.
Joanne Irbies at United Cerebral Palsy says she and many others are working to change the laws.
There's a talent out there with people with disabilities that they can be employed, they should be employed, but they shouldn't have to lose all the benefits.
Because to make up for all the benefits, like personal attendance, wheelchair services, Snoopy would have to make a very good living.
When my will becomes enthroned in your love.
Which brings us back to Nicollet Mall, and the reason Snoopy is here, playing his music. It's about the only way he can pay for new equipment and feed his passion for song.
Let it be, dear Lord, let it be.
Super type. Why me anti super tight?
Father, you said what God has put together, let no man break asunder, Lord.
Hosea Feed the Hungry is great for the soul.
In Jesus' name.
Let's do it.
There you go, right over here.
And good for the stomach, too.
Thank you.
The best food in town.
Thank you.
Served right here, straight from the heart.
Right now, I'm detailing the hairline.
It's the kind of place that transforms a man. Feed the Hungry has always offered a nice, clean cut. Every barber here volunteers.
So it's like one of the most important things a man can have.
Several years ago, 14-year-old Willie Lyons got off the school bus and walked into Bobby Henderson's world.
And I was watching him, he was like, what you want to learn how to cut hair or something? So I was like, yeah, I'll learn how to cut hair.
Willie's determined to be the best.
This is my little man right here.
So in between cuts, he started earning A's. He's now honor roll at Tri-Cities High School.
I know if I can do it, anybody else out here can do it. That's my motto. If I can do it, you can do it.
In a place filled with hard times, it's hard not to notice this kid's motivation. His mentor, Bobby Henderson, says he saw him, just knew.
When people see me out in Atlanta, see me out in different hoods, they come to me and they let me know that I'm doing the right thing with them. You know, so it's real big. It's bigger than what we think.
This young man is doing wonderful things in his life.
It's incredible, man, for a kid to have a foresight at an early age.
Willie's learning far more than a trade. He's learned to receive, you must give back. This is the 14-year-old's third year volunteering. Those fortunate enough to sit in his chair know it's the best cut they'll ever have.
They just say, you inspired me to make my sons want to go cut hair, and that made me feel great because I know that I'm doing something in the world. You know, I feel good about myself that I'm doing this, and when I leave, I know that I made other people happy too.
At Turner Field, Harry Samler, CBS 46 News.
Last shot, next shot. Action, reaction.
News reporter Bill Shirk is live with the latest tonight. Bill.
Well, Cal, I just talked to a police officer, and that evacuation is now official. Police are ordering everyone to get away from town. The Roseau River is right back there at that bridge, and it is flooding in the city of Roseau right now. The eastern part of town, the southern part of town, both those areas are already flooding. In fact, this was the main area for sandbagging today. There are just a few people left because this part of town is flooding as we speak. They are pushing people back to the west end of town right now to try and save the Polaris factory, the main employer here in the city. What caused this? 6 inches of rain last night. People say they never saw this coming. Quickly, so quickly, the water came into town. Some stood helpless while the water crept. And right downtown,
We're going to fight till the bitter end.
the entire town worked. Brian Pulowski is one of them.
Just lost my house. About an hour ago. What's that?
The dike broke.
People scrambled to get away from the water.
Take care of our house.
It all just overwhelmed.
Just get in the van there, okay?
And still, the water just keeps coming
On the
up.
radio, they're predicting another half foot or a foot.
Now, how fast is it running? Check this out. I want to show you. This is right on Main Street in town. When you put it down, you can see just how fast the water is running into parts of town right now. That's why people are pushing back. Again, they are talking that the river will crest sometime late tonight or early tomorrow morning. We are going to be here. We will keep an eye on the situation, and we will have the latest for you coming up tonight at 6 o'clock, guys.
I'm Bill Shirk.
Last shot, next shot. Action and reaction.
Tonight, and they tell us that Bridget had a zest for life. Brian loved cars. Harry was the nice guy, and Corey, well, he could always make you laugh. 4 young lives lost too early. Sometimes we don't see it coming. Logically, Charlotte Graves and Brianna Johnson should have expected a train at the railroad crossing on Ferry Street, but they didn't. Nobody did. And as friends paid tribute to Bridget Shannon, Brian Fraser, Harry Rhodes, and Corey Chase, the train made it real. Too real.
It shouldn't have happened.
Because when you're 17 years old, you don't expect "see you later" to be goodbye. And as the train screamed down the tracks, goodbye was all anyone could hear.
It's gone. That was Bridget saying bye. Bridget's gone. Okay, well, we should probably go.
Bridget was a senior at Anoka High School. The 3 boys, Brian, Harry, and Corey, had all been students at Blaine High School. Live in Anoka, I'm Colleen McCarty, Channel 5 Eyewitness News. Back to you, Kristen.
Even a 5-year-old knows how to use a tripod. So you think you're in Sevilla.
Winter in Wayzata, the only season when ducks rule Lake Minnetonka, with one chilling exception.
It's pretty cold and windy.
January 1st.
2002, it's the 1st of January.
The day when Nate and Anna Wade's mother waits her place in line to follow this lead. An annual New Year's ice dive.
Thanks so very much.
Which Bill Wenmark of the American Lung Association Running Club created 12 years ago.
You look at some of their faces and just shock. Hey, Scott, where to go?
280 men, women, and kids in bathing suits and shoes took their turn to plunge into the lake. And this year, Nate and Anna wanted to watch their mom, Ellen, firsthand.
She's jumping in because I don't know.
Different people took these steps for different reasons, but Bill Wenmark dedicated this January 1st to September 11th.
A whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of Americans died on September 11th, and we're going in for them. We're not going to get her wet. We're going to bring her out dry.
Finally, Ellen Wade made her way to the front of the line and took the plunge.
That is crazy. That is crazy.
All right, yay!
On the one winter day when the ducks aren't alone beneath the icy lake water, America's flag stayed high and dry.
Happy New Year.
New Year.
John Stone, Eyewitness News.
Even a 5-year-old knows how to use a tripod.
I don't. We need supernatural sound.
A city this big tends to hide some of life's problems. But take a closer look and suddenly one looms.
No, this real life, and it ain't no joke.
On any given night, 400 single men and women make downtown's Harbor Light Center their home.
A lot of us in here did a lot of bad or whatever. This is the suffering, you know. And when we get out of this, thank God.
I think that's a sad thing, man.
Ryan Gopher's here. He's 18 years old, and he's been homeless for 6 months.
I don't think I've never been turned down by a shelter.
Turns out Brian's one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, I thank God for that one.
You see, It's been a record year here in Minnesota. 100 homeless people have died on our streets. The reason? There's just no room at the shelters.
You know, God put us here for a reason. If he wanted us dead, we'll be dead. You know what I'm saying?
In life, these men want their message heard.
How sweet the sound. Marching for homeless, for all the homeless people that have died this year.
Tonight, people with and without homes marched across town. They carried 100 white signs, one for each person who died on the streets.
I think the concern is that that number keeps growing. The double concern is that the safety net for homeless people is eroding.
What he means, state funding is down 40% for homeless services.
People should know there's a lot of homeless people, and this country shouldn't have homeless people.
They hope others might hear their message. And for Brian, that's the whole point.
It means a lot to me, actually. It's a good feeling to let you know that people care and you're appreciated.
Messy says she's Sadie.
Hawaii in January. It is a place and a time that defines the term paradise. Although even paradise has its seedy side.
If you're supposed to be a minimum, I'm the biggest guy trying to get people out of here to begin with.
Enough of a seedy side here in paradise that Warden Nolan Aspenda says his Honolulu prison has run out of room.
1,046 is our capacity here in this complex right here. And a count this morning is 1220.
Which means about 150 guys are forced to sleep on the floor. That means 3 prisoners in a cell designed for 1. So what does an overcrowded prison in Hawaii have to do with Minnesota? Well, a lot of things actually. About 661 on this day. That's how many Hawaiian prisoners are doing their time in the frozen prairie of Minnesota.
This is in the boonies where we at. From Hawaii, we're far from home, you know.
Jake Risolo is doing 5 years for a Hawaii drug conviction at the Prairie Correctional Facility in Appleton, Minnesota. This private prison employs more than 300 Minnesotans. The state of Hawaii pays them to watch over nearly 700 of its prisoners.
My home, right here.
Here in the Hawaiian version of Siberia.
At home, we got a lot of mountains and stuff. I never see not one mountain.
But it's pretty cold here. Ooh! Not too much things around except for farms, they said. Yeah.
That's Jason Medeiros. He'll be doing another 9 years for armed robbery, a half an ocean and a half a continent away from his grandmother.
Yeah, we miss seeing him for a while, but you get used to it. And he calls 2-3 times a week.
But the phone is hardly a substitute for seeing him in person.
That's only in Hawaii.
More importantly, seeing some of his personal triumphs. Like in November, when Jason not only earned his GED, he was the jailhouse version of valedictorian.
And our student speaker with the second highest score in PCF history, Mr. Jason Medeiros.
He called right afterward. He was in 7th heaven.
Welcome to this year's graduation ceremony.
No, it's really something for him. It's like a miracle.
The biggest accomplishment of his life, and his mother and grandmother couldn't be here to see it.
With hard work and determination.
You might think that would make him a little resentful of the land of 10,000 lakes, but you're wrong.
No, we live real good over here compared to Hawaii.
But when he says living good, he's not talking about a sauna and a jacuzzi.
3 hots in a cot.
3 people in a cell.
Warden Aspenda back in Hawaii says Jason is talking about something like a bed.
You may think it's geographically far, but a simple thing like being able to have your own bunk sometimes is pretty pleasing to them.
Although if you ask around, it is a little more than that.
For my family and myself.
This graduation ceremony and the program that got guys like Jason a GED is not something they'd get in Hawaii. And inmate Milton Marinos noticed another nice thing about Appleton, Minnesota.
There's a well-being check.
Minnesota nice.
Within every
Staff up here, they call you gentlemen. Excuse me, sir. We don't get nothing like that back home.
We call it Minnesota nice.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful up here.
Yeah, we think so. Although, as any Minnesotan can tell you, there's just no substitute for your home state.
When we all will be going home.
Which is why, even through the blowing snow on the Minnesota prairie, these men can still see palm trees.
We'll be going home.
Shoot, Daddy.
The celebration began inside Mariucci Hockey Arena, but it was on the streets of Dinkytown that the celebration got out of control.
Minnesota hockey, baby! Yeah, #1! Repeat!
They're burning everything they can get their hands on. This is ridiculously awesome.
But this is just the beginning of the serious destruction.
Yes, we got it. Stay low.
Police responded with force. In full riot gear, the police did what they could to stop the rioting. Cops used everything in their arsenal, but nothing seemed to stop this violent celebration.
Hey, I'm watching it all, enjoying. Yeah.
The crowd kept moving, and police followed. But they were too far behind to stop the looting of the U liquor store.
Happy Saturday night on the campus.
Garbage cans and parking attendant booths were torched. The crowd eventually tired, as police formed lines to force the crowd off the streets.
I mean, this sucks because I don't know who's going to pay for this.
Paying for what was destroyed was not on the minds of those out last night. But one thing is for certain, this Gopher National Championship comes
You have no reason to arrest me.
with a high price tag.
Walking down the street.
In Minneapolis, Reg Chapman, Eyewitness News.
Brutality right fucking here.
Messi says I love you, Sharon.
As a Channel 5 photojournalist, you learn fast that your job is, well, like Forrest Gump said.
Like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
Sometimes it's when the simple things turn, well, not so simple. Or when the morning commute becomes a little more eventful than expected. Like back in 1995, when the ice just wouldn't let this guy stop his car. Never underestimate the value of being in the right place at the right time. But then, as photojournalist John Elliott learned, there's the other side of it, being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
I had a tape recorder on one shoulder, camera on one shoulder, big battery belt, heavy duty, big light, because of the cameras at the time, and I had so many cords hanging off me that she hit me, and this was enough to trip on cords and everything else.
It's a difficult balance, needing to get close, but wanting to stay safe.
Yeah, it made me think a lot after that. I thought, gosh, if it was a 22 caliber gun or something, I would have been shot in the head.
Photojournalist John Gross learned a similar lesson just last year.
I'll never forget that morning. I thought it was going to be easy. I thought it was going to be just another typical Saturday.
Now, this press conference by a group of neo-Nazis was anything but typical.
It's all reaction. It's in front of you, you shoot it. That's all it is. You don't get scared when it's happening. It's afterward. It's afterward you have nightmares. It's afterward you really think, wow, what could have happened?
It's a common theme with the people making a living looking through that viewfinder. Take Dave Ogle, for instance. This is the video he shot of a tornado they got a little too close to.
Where we were, it wasn't windy until, it got real close to us. So you didn't get that sense of impending doom. Looking back, I look at this video and I think, man, I was just like 100 yards away from a tornado, laying in a ditch, you know?
If there's one thing that's less predictable than weather, it's people. You don't have to tell photojournalist Joe Caffrey that.
The crowd just assembled and came in real fast, and a lot of tension right there.
Back in 1992, a Minneapolis murder investigation turned a neighborhood on the police and on a TV crew.
I actually had my back against a church, and I figured that'd be a safe place.
Caffrey got out safely, but it raises the question, why put yourself in these situations in the first place?
Without pictures, you got radio.
St. Thomas journalism professor Dave Nimmer believes it's important to get this close and to get these pictures because it's the only way to capture the human condition.
Sometimes it just makes me realize how lucky I am, or how whimsical this all can be, or how remarkable the human spirit is.
And someone has to be there. Someone has to get those emotions and put them on tape.
You just see the total fear in their faces.
But when your job is to get this close, you're going to feel the heat every once in a while.
I don't know, maybe it's a news thing. It just kind of gets in your blood, and you chase it down.
It erupts like a Barry Sanders 90-yard touchdown run. You don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, photojournalism is a lot like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
That's all I have to say about that.
Rod Reisman, Channel 5 Eyewitness News, Minneapolis.
Have fun, be safe.
A Minnesota family that lost a son in Iraq, healing began with a gift from someone they've never met. As part of his series Land of 10,000 Stories on our Minneapolis affiliate KARE, reporter Boyd Hooper meets a remarkable woman who's bringing fallen soldiers home.
Bad news rolled into North Home, Minnesota on November 17, 2003. It stopped for directions at the post office, headed east out of town past the high school, and then bad news turned in the driveway of Arland and Karen Panshot.
I seen the two soldiers there, and I knew what had happened.
Arland and Karen both knew.
Yeah.
Left to tell were the details of how their son Dale had died in Iraq. The Bradley fighting vehicle he was riding in, the hit from the rocket-propelled grenade.
Our son was the third soldier killed from Minnesota.
And now, 3 years later, the same rural roads that carried bad news to North Home, in a sense, are bringing Dale Panshot back home.
It's going to be a surprise, especially when that truck pulls up.
Eyes would be wider still if they could back up the truck 2 weeks and somehow see the woman delivering their son.
Oh, yeah. Woo! Keziah cooks. She starts cranking. She cooks.
Colorful as the palette she paints from. Keziah Hancock shares a ranch with 100 goats at the base of a mountain in Utah.
I don't know how political I am. I don't get into all that crap. I just love freedom, okay?
Here, 1,200 miles from North Home, Keziah is enjoying the company of Staff Sergeant Panshot.
What a sweet guy. I believe he is a guy that'd give the shirt off of his back. I really like that one.
Keziah should know, as an artist with a flair for giving.
That I can dance.
It started 3 years ago when a tearful Keziah painted a portrait of Utah's first fallen soldier, then kept going.
I so appreciate good guys.
50, then 100, now nearly 250 servicemen and women from nearly every state brought back to life on canvas in Keziah's bedroom studio.
At least it's a way to say, hey, I love you, kiddo. So, that you may never be forgotten.
And when their time at the ranch is through, Keziah Hancock sends them home. Painted, framed, packed, and shipped.
Okay, sweetie, you get to go home to Mama.
And Keziah will accept not 1 cent from a soldier's family.
Dear Knowles family, I picked this one because this shows such a wonderful personality. There is a face anyone could love. Love, Keziah. Okay. There's definitely a lot of love going in that box, too.
Keziah can't begin to estimate the income she has forfeited.
That's this one.
Painting sons and daughters
Beautiful, fun lady.
instead of the landscapes and portraits she normally sells for thousands of dollars.
Given James Coburn.
Yet all Keziah has to do is read her mail.
Like Given is still right here, watching over me and my family.
And her inner banker goes on permanent Memorial Day.
So I just love him. It's okay. And it's not this big goddamn sacrifice, and it's not this pain and misery that I have to go through. Hell, I'm not in misery. I'm working for a friend. They're my buddies. We got a good thing going. This is a partnership. This is a team.
Tough as a sailor, tender as a mom. Though long ago, a bout with ovarian cancer left Keziah unable to have children of her own.
His last name, Panshot.
Minnesota's Dale Panshot is just her latest adopted son.
That is not half bad.
A relationship that will leave her both happier and sad.
Because he just should have been a daddy. He should have been a husband till he's 80 years old. That would have been good. I would have so loved not to have painted him.
Keziah figured out years ago that an artist can do little to stop a war. Her gift would be the deliveries to the people left to battle at home.
Wait a minute. Want to see it?
Oh.
That is awesome.
Oh, boy.
Oh, man.
Arland and Karen Panshot have never met Keziah.
Well, I'm just going to see what it'll look like.
Up there.
Probably never will.
May you feel your son's love every day. God bless you. Love, Keziah.
But two parents who can't pull their eyes off the image of their son
She even got his
is proof.
crooked tooth in there a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
A hug can extend from Utah all the way to the land of 10,000 stories.
He's here, and that's important to me.
Kindness is a virtue, but on a ranch in Utah, compassion is an art.
There is nothing I'll ever paint that'll be more appreciated than that.
For today, I'm Boyd Hubert in Manti, Utah.
A great story, Boyd, and God bless Keziah. We're back in a moment. This is Today on NBC.
Welcome to the workshop.
As beautiful as these birds are, what they leave behind is at least that ugly.
Look at this blacktop here. People have to walk through this. Why, you think you're in a barnyard here. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, it doesn't take long to learn that Cliff Tim would never consider those Canadian honkers feathered friends.
You can just see this is just one litter here, a goose poop here.
In fact, Cliff Tim is at war.
It's just unbelievable. If I could get a hold of that goose right now, I'd take care of him.
To understand his rage, you have to understand his passion. He has spent a lifetime creating and maintaining areas to fish, and the stuff that those geese prolifically produce hurts the water quality, among other unsightly problems.
Can't have people walking under this crap.
But actually, Minnesota is one of the few states that has the Canada goose population under control. Now, if it doesn't sound like much of an accomplishment to simply control the population of geese, the DNR would like you to consider what that population would probably be if they didn't control it.
It's about 10% of what it could be is what we estimate.
In other words, Brian Luth at the DNR says the problem could be about 10 times worse, and it is at least that bad in a lot of other states.
No, I just look at this thing, you could almost vomit when you look at this thing.
Although if you ask people like Cliff, a lot more needs to be done.
Oh man, this is supposed to be a park.
Rod Rassman, Eyewitness News, West St. Paul.
Welcome to the workshop for Matthew.
Welcome to Old Navy.
As a greeter at the Old Navy store in the Mall of America, Russ Stevens made a job out of making first impressions.
You have a good day.
And making sure everyone...
You have a good day, sir.
...had a good day. But Russell's is not a story of first impressions. His is a story of second chances.
Because the son I had in the beginning was not one son that you'd pick.
Yeah, Russ filled his late teens and early 20s with booze, drugs, and parties until 1990, when, in search of more drugs and another party, he got into the wrong car with the wrong people.
Pushed him out of the car and shot him and then just left him by some railroad tracks.
It went in through here all the way back. So it's right about here.
And that .22 caliber bullet stayed there, a constant reminder of where he'd been and where he'd never be again.
I went the drug route, and look what it got me. But I'm lucky I'm still alive.
Yeah, Russ lived to tell his story.
Today, I want to introduce you to our speaker, good friend of mine, Russ.
That's exactly what he did.
I still got the bullet in my head.
Every chance he got.
Okay?
He doesn't like to come out and preach something. He said, this is my story. This is what I've learned. You know, you can learn from me.
I'm not being rude, I'm being real with you guys.
Totally turned himself, around. And he was proud of it.
Pass this around.
The gunshot left Russ with a glass eye and paralyzed one side of his face.
See, it looks real, doesn't it?
So some of his words were hard to understand, but his message was very clear.
I would like to see more people becoming aware of people like Russ who care about the young people of our world today.
You guys have a good day.
Actually, we were about to make more people aware of all that Russ was doing.
You have a good day.
But shortly after we shot this videotape,
you have a good day, bud.
Russ's second chance expired. He died in his sleep of an aneurysm.
We thank you, Lord, for giving us the gift of life in the form of Russell Stevens.
He left with so many things undone, so many goals unachieved.
We go forward with our lives changed because we knew Russ. And we won't forget.
But those who honored him at a memorial service and those who remembered him at the Mall of America today would rather not dwell on what he was not able to do.
You have a good day.
Rather on what he did.
Thank you.
With his second chance.
He was a wonderful person and a wonderful son.
Bye-bye.
Now I can say that. I couldn't have said that 12 years ago. But now I can't.
Rod Rassman, Eyewitness News, Bloomington.
Wind me inside, toothbrush tight.
We're going to be starting with Class 92, Pups Hurdle, 6 to 9 months, Underdogs.
It's a great experience.
It's very fun. It's pretty cool.
Love it. Love it. This is people having a lot of fun with their dogs.
This is Jack Russell Racing.
They're trying to kill the lure. This is where they really show their own.
This is how you get them to win, yep.
Little white dogs
They're after the lure to kill it at the end of the track.
are running down track.
The racetrack is 200 feet long.
And then they're going in a little hole.
We are ready to get started.
Load them!
They're like little rockets when they get running.
Let's go!
I think they've had them clocked up to like 36 miles an hour.
Fast. Really fast.
Incredible.
You have to let the lure get out ahead of the dog. They're all going to be trying to get to the lure at one time.
I've got to catch the dog. It's like trying to catch a greased pig.
Very, very fast.
Load them!
Yeah, they're extremely tough dogs.
They're a rugged dog.
Come on!
That needs this type of activity.
Little white lures.
Competition for the dog.
It's the first dog through the hay.
They're hyper.
And they're running wide open through the hay, and they end up running right into the lure box.
The dogs love it.
It's fulfillment of the breed.
That's what they love.
It's actually more fun for the dog.
They just give you so much satisfaction. They're hunting dogs, and so they're a special breed.
She got third. Nobody got her. Come on, Monix, come.
And so they need special treatment.
Good girl.
And that's what this is part of.
You can give them back to the owners.
Come here, Bernie boy. The dogs just live for it.
Let's go. Woohoo!
From afar, you can see the cliches. 98,000 tons of diplomacy, 4.5 acres of sovereign U.S. territory. But up close,
Conning Austin, now passing heading 260.
It's all teamwork
Right 20 degrees.
and pride as sailors' tireless work gets jets off the deck
Indicate 25 RPM.
and into the air.
You gotta watch out for up here. You gotta keep your head on the swivel.
Stephen Wallace from Louisville, Georgia,
Hold it up on the third wire.
is just one of those on the deck where a sea of colors may just be colors to us, but for the pilots that fly off the Eisenhower, they represent the lifeblood that allows them to do their jobs.
Oh yeah, it's a great job.
Pilot Christopher Coates is from Norcross. He flies an FA-18 Hornet.
I mean, you really can't beat what we get to do every day, flying off the pointed end, dropping bombs, doing whatever mission we have to do, and then coming back aboard.
Although the planes and pilots are the stars of the show,
and have a good time,
pilots like Christopher are quick to recognize everyone whose job it is to keep him safe in the air.
what they go through every day and the long hours they put into it. So there's a lot that goes involved just getting us off the deck. So we probably have the easy job of flying it, but everyone else that goes into fixing our aircraft to get us airborne.
And getting airborne takes sailors like Jessica Dixon.
I've met a lot of people from Georgia.
Jessica may be far from her home of Monroe, but she still feels at home in the middle of the ocean.
And I didn't think it would be this many people in one spot from Georgia. So that's a good thing, make me feel at home.
And what does Jessica miss the most?
The food.
To fuel the USS Eisenhower, it takes 2 nuclear reactors. But how about the crew? You're talking about 15,000 meals a day, 500 pounds of tomatoes, and 400 pounds of flour.
We got a lot of ladders you're climbing.
When you walk through the Eisenhower, you get a sense of just how big the ship is. And throughout the ship, from the stem to the stern, starboard to port, sailors smiling while they worked. But nobody's smile could compare to Emerson Johnson's.
Oh, there's a lot to be smiling about. Happy to be here. My country, my God. Camaraderie, the love, what we do, keep things going, keep this world safe. I love it. I love it.
For Emerson, the love for the Eisenhower and his country is driven by a deeper love at home.
I know my kids at home and daddy's out here handling business, making sure they're safe.
And what makes his job easier is the appreciation he gets back home.
No doubt. What's going on in the world today? I can't see them not.
The glory may be up on the flight deck, but for the people that work on the 23 other decks who don't fly and who often work 15 to 20-hour days, 7 days a week for months at a time, what keeps them motivated?
Every day, it's a different day. Brand new day. Excitement. What we do out here is very repetitious, but it never changes. Always exciting.
No jet can take off. No course can be set.
Conning Officer, my rudder is right 20 degrees, no new course given.
Without the crew of this ship knowing the exact motion of weather. Here on board the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, there's a delicately balanced relationship between Mother Nature and machine. A relationship that allows this floating fortress to project U.S. power anywhere in the world, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Do it whether it's in good weather or bad weather. But yeah, you're right, absolutely right. Especially for the aviators when they do their strike planning.
When it comes to carrier operations, naval officers plan every movement around the motions of weather.
You could see across the entire ship.
Meet Lieutenant Commander Carlo Lombardo. And just like Gene Norman, he's the final word when it comes to a forecast.
290 at
As you might expect, this office uses a variety of weather tools, weather instruments on the flight deck to radar. Advances in internet and satellite technologies have made forecasting in both the Storm Tracker 46 Weather Center and on the carrier a little easier in recent years. But out here, not without a different kind of challenge.
Connectivity, when we lose connectivity, that's a problem. And unlike forecasting ashore, we're a moving platform in a dynamic environment, so our environment is changing even more rapidly than
your environment ashore.
Good evening, Eisenhower. This is Agent 3 Burke from the METOC office with your Event 6 Cyclic Brief.
The Meteorology Operations Center, or METOC, provide weather briefings constantly to crew and pilots.
Wind is going to be green, yellow, or red.
Carrier forecasters say in order for the Eisenhower to launch or recover any aircraft, the exact sea and wind conditions must be known.
They have to drop into the wind.
Always learning from it. So
Navy pilot Lieutenant Christopher Coase is from Norcross. He understands the significance of weather. His training mission this day took a different turn thanks to cloud cover. Did the weatherman get it right?
No, they actually have forecasted it correctly. When we rolled in, the clouds were in front of me and the target, so I couldn't visually acquire the target and be able to drop without going through a cloud layer, which would not be good if I got disoriented at that point and not being able to pull out for some reason.
For more than 60 years, the aircraft carrier has been a first line of defense for the United States.
Winds, they just went down, but they're still forecasting.
These forecasters understand the importance of their mission.
Well, the first thing to remember is that weather is never neutral. It either favors us or it favors the enemy. And our job is to ensure that it always favors us.
On board the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, meteorologist Greg Majeski, CBS 46 News.
It's all about training so that you're ready when and if the time ever comes. So this is the worst case scenario that we're practicing for right now.
Background on scene.
When there is a fire, all sailors man their battle stations.
Come on, let's go.
This time, it's a drill. They are trained
Go to it.
to work together.
Come on, we're gonna turn that fire off. Let's go.
And if they use the right technique,
Slow down a little bit. You're gonna kill yourself going that fast.
they can save lives and the ship.
Big figure eight. You don't have to go as fast.
And just one mistake
I died, man.
can be deadly.
Why didn't we have anybody cooling ordnance?
All the hoses went out.
All the hoses were fighting the fire? You needed somebody cooling ordnance. You knew that you had two 2,000-pound bombs in here, right?
Yeah.
All right, nobody was cooling ordnance. That's why you're dead today.
It's survival. That's what it is when it comes to something like this, it's survival.
Facing adversity,
All of our hose teams have been taken out by the fires.
Team 2 arrives and fights the fire,
Which way's the fire?
making progress one step
How much hose you got,
at a time.
Let's go.
Replacing real flames is real motivation.
Come on, let's go. Let's work together.
They're good. That's what they need. They need good motivation. They've got it.
And with motivation,
What does that mean?
the leaders of today hope to find the leaders of tomorrow.
He took control of that entire scene and ran five attack teams. He orchestrated that entire mess. And that was pretty impressive. Young man.
Thank you for coming to workshop.
You're going to look right in that, and you're going to repeat what I say. Like it's a person. Just welcome to the workshop.
Welcome to workshop.
Real loud to the workshop. Welcome to the workshop.
Welcome to the workshop.
One more, Dave. Welcome to the workshop.
Welcome to the workshop.
My big gut behind Matthew.
Wait.
And go ahead. Welcome to the workshop.
Welcome to the workshop.
Okay, one more time, but look in the lens.
Kids scream on TV?
Yeah, yell real loud.
Welcome to the workshop.
I like that. Let's see Dave's face this time.
Okay, one more time.
Welcome to the workshop.
Scream at me.
Real loud.
Welcome to the workshop.
Okay. Repeat after me. You ready, Lee?
Yep.
Wide, medium, tight.
Wide, medium, tight.
Wide, medium, tight, super tight.
Wide, medium, tight, super tight.
Action, reaction.
Action, reaction.
Action, reaction.
Action, reaction.
Steady sequenced video.
Steady sequence video.
Meaningful natural sound.
Meaningful natural sound.
Matthew says shoot steady.
Matthew says shoot steady.
Matthew says shoot steady.
Matthew says shoot steady.
Matthew says I love you, Sharon.
Matthew says I love you, Sharon.
I love Sharon too.
Matthew says, have fun, be safe.
Have fun, be safe.
Matthew says, welcome to the workshop.
Welcome to the workshop.
Okay, one more time. Welcome to the workshop.
Welcome to the workshop for Matthew.
Wide, medium, tight, super tight again.
Ready? Real loud. Wide, medium, tight, super tight.
Wide, medium, tight, toothbrush tight.
It's slow.
Wide, medium, tight, super tight.
Wide, medium, tight, super tight.
Wide, medium, tight.
I'm not quite ready yet.
Okay.
Now I am.
Wide, medium, tight, super tight.
Wide, medium, tight, super tight.
Let's see if I can get super tight.
Wide, medium, tight, super tight. Or just say it. Just
super tight.
Super tight. Super tight.
Loud.
Super tight.
Look up.
Super tight.
Again, please.
Super tight.
Okay.
Okay, one left.
Okay.
Last shot, next shot.
The last thing.
That's what you say. Last shot, next shot.
Last shot, next.
Last shot, next shot.
Last shot, next shot.
Last shot, next shot.
Last shot, next shot.
How about this? Even a 5-year-old knows how to use a tripod.
And a 5-year-old knows how to do it. What do you say?
Even a 5-year-old knows how to use a tripod.
Even a 5-year-old knows how to use a tripod.
Even a 5-year-old knows how to use a tripod.
I don't.
I don't either.
I don't, but some 5-year-olds do.
How about this? Daryl taught me to hold a camera steady.
Daryl taught me to hold